Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we'll be discussing about the topic lazy loading in Selenium PageFactory versus Playwright. Most of the people think Selenium PageFactory and Playwright locators behave the same way. They don't. And misunderstanding this is the main reason people get style element exception issues. Before going into deep in lazy loading in Selenium versus Playwright, so what does lazy loading means? So lazy loading means don't create, load or fetch something until it is actually needed. So I'll quickly demonstrate it on Geo Hotstar. I can see the contents are there. If I do a hard refresh, now as you can see, the contents are loaded over here. Top 10, India Today, Popular in Reality, Peacock Finest, and Comedy Carnival. All these sections, right, which are there, are loaded until and unless you scroll down. So it won't be loaded if you don't scroll. Okay, and if I click something like this Big Boss Marathi, as you can see the contents are loaded. So once you click on it, then only the contents will be displayed over here. So going to this lazy loading in Selenium versus Playwright, this means that the element is not such in the DOM at object creation. It is such only when you actually use it. Like when you perform the click, send keys, get text or get attribute, etc. Then only this lazy loading concept is applied. So what is the advantages of lazy loading? So no such element exceptions that we face very frequently. Faster page object initialization, flakiness of the test gets reduced, better memory and performance. You are not storing heavy objects, DOM locators early, parallel execution friendly, timing issues and race conditions, reduce tail element issues which are there, right? So if you refresh the DOM and if you try to perform some actions, then you get a tail element. So but does not fully eliminate them in Selenium. Oops, my mistake. Yeah, initialization. Now, yeah, so we'll get into the code. So I've just created, you can say a base test over here, which shows the buggy test which we are going to log in. And I've created a button. We have created a web element button, and then we are just clicking on it, and then we are refreshing the page, and then again clicking on it. So now, if I run this test, right, as you can see, let the test run. So yeah, first we have created the button, and then we are trying to click on it, and we have refreshed the DOM and again trying to click on it. As you can see over here, we got the stale element reference exception. So that means that reference is gone over there. We created a web element over here. So this reference has an old, you can say, this reference is old, and you try to click on that old reference over here again. So as the DOM is refreshed, right? So the reference is removed. So that is why we are getting this tail element reference exception. So to overcome this, right, Selenium guys will come up with the two approaches. That is, we can use page object model, which is a design pattern, and we can use PageFactory over here. So PageFactory, as you can say, right, the Selenium founders only disagree with that. So yeah, you can have a discussion, and there is a topic, like you can say, there is a video on this topic why this PageFactory is, you can say, discouraged over here. Now, and the main reason is because it's, you can say, proxy based lazy initialization. It increases the complexity, it reduces the flexibility for dynamic locators. So all these things are there for page object factory. So I'll quickly demonstrate lazy loading in, you can say, PageFactory now. If you go to the base test, right, over here, and if I go to the login page, now as you can see, I have created the PageFactory method. So we are using annotation that is find by login and find by login over here. So that is nothing but the button. So now I'm sending the username and clicking on the login button. So now if you run this test, right, which is there, base test.loaded, if I run this, yeah, the same action we performed in the previous script, we are performing now using a PageFactory. So as you can see, we didn't got the stale element reference exception. Now the page object is created, we send the name, login clicked, send name, and again the login is clicked. So now I will go to this tab over here. So yeah, lazy loading in PageFactory. So PageFactory is nothing but Selenium helper class to initialize the element using annotations. Yes, it somewhat solves the problem. Before going into deep, right, let's understand what it is. So this, right, as you can see over here, into the base test login page, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so we have created some objects over here. So these are nothing but proxy objects. Okay, so the definition of object is like this. It is a fake placeholder object that looks like a real object but does not contain the real data. So the proxy object controls the access to real object, allowing it to add functionality such as lazy loading, logging or caching without changing the actual object code. Now you see the code, right? Page Factory init elements, it creates the proxy objects for element. Okay, so over here the proxy objects are created in this init methods. So internally what we are doing is, if we create a login button, right? So we are creating a login button, we are creating a proxy object for it, and then it fetches to the real DOM. So now what it is happening, right? In this test, I am clicking on the user send username. I'll go to this method. So this username, the proxy object is there. Once I perform any action on this, so it fetches the real DOM. So and we send the send keys, that is Aniket over here. Now I click on the login button again. If we go again in the login button, as you can see, we have created a proxy object for login button and we are sending the dot click over here. So click is performed. Now we refresh the contents over here, right? So once we refresh the contents of the page, in this script, right, we got an issue of stale element reference exception because of the old reference. But in this lazy loading test over here, I go to send username and now the page is refreshed, right? So this login text will go again, it will check for the proxy object and then it will fetch the locator in the real DOM element and then it will send keys. So the concept of lazy loading is applied over here. However, the retry mechanism is not there into this page factory method over here. Okay, similarly we can do we can use the page object model, which is like we can give by ID and name, by XPath, and we can give the locator. This is the same difference. So there was a discussion which is going on with this page factory and page object model. So people prefer page object model because there is no such difference in finding the locators over here. And if I do something like a cache lookup annotation over here, and if I run the test, as I'm searching the cache over here, I'll get an stale element reference exception over here. Yeah, let's run it and check. Yeah, as you can see, I got the stale element reference exception as we are looking into the cache lookup over here. So this is where we can get a stale element reference exception in page factory method. Now I'll just comment this out. Okay, so proxy object is done. We are going to now Playwright. So Playwright, how Playwright solves this problem? Like Playwright locators are not element, basically they are queries. Every action reevaluates the DOM freshly. Now if I go to my script, yeah, as you can see, we are going to this page over here. We are doing the same actions which we did into the Selenium script. So we are filling the element, we are reloading it, again we are filling the element. Now if I run this script, yeah, if I run this script and let's wait for the script to get executed. Apologies, my laptop has become slow. Yeah, as we can see, we are just running the Playwright test. Yep, it's running. Yeah, as you can see, we have launched the Chromium test, and it was so quick that we the test got passed over here. So what this Playwright does is, basically it has a retry mechanism with it. So it will find the element, it will check. If it is not found, it will retry. If it is stale, then again act on that. So basically this is the advantage of Playwright over Selenium. Now yeah, we quickly jump into these differences. So now differences like Selenium web element store. So we'll get a stale element as very possible. It is very common. Why? Because old DOM references, which I have shown you in this test over here. As you can see, old DOM references. Then we can move to Selenium with Page Factory. Stale element possible, yeah, but it is not usable because it finds the element again and there is no retry logic. Playwright locator will not get stale element. Stale possible, it will be never. Why? Because it auto resolves plus retry is there. Yeah, so these are the difference between we can say Selenium Page Factory versus Playwright using in the Playwright locators. So now there are some interview questions which have been asked. So how does lazy loading work in Selenium Page Factory? Page Factory creates a proxy object for each web element. You remember it, page factory.edit element we do. Then the actual element find call is executed only when an interaction is performed onto that element. Does Page Factory search the DOM every time? Yes. The proxy relocates the element in the DOM on every interaction, but it does not retry. So that is a disadvantage of Selenium. Why Playwright is considered more stable than the Page Factory in Selenium? Because Playwright combines lazy loading with inbuilt waits and retry logic, while Page Factory only provides lazy initialization is there without any resilience. So resilience is nothing but there is no retry logic. We have to add expected condition, explicit wait over there to solve that problem. So yeah, so this was it about the lazy loading concept. We discussed various objects aspects like stale element experience exception, then lazy loading concept, how it is like we can get a stale element reference exception in the Selenium script, in the page factory as well. How does Playwright overcome the stale element reference exception, and how Playwright lazy loading works. So yeah, that was it for this video. Yeah, so the final takeaway from this video is lazy loading is not a Selenium feature. It is not a Playwright feature. It is a design principle. The difference how smart tool handles failure for the locators. If this cleared your confusion, like, subscribe to this channel, and I will make some interesting videos going ahead. Thank you. Bye.